it can feel a little bit warped or like there's something missing when we're only thinking that something's true and it's never going to change and it's fact and it's logical and it's scientific, there's scientific proof. If we stick only to that and we're not feeling into things, we're not sensing into energetics and emotions, then we're always going to feel like a part of the picture is missing. Not everything we think is true, but what we feel inside our body is our truth. And that's why we can go to our body and what we feel inside for our truth rather than what we're logically thinking and what we can conceptualize and perceive and use with real truth and fact. We can use truth and fact to mark where we are in our reality, but we never get the full picture until we go into the things we're feeling, the sensations. That's where we get the full picture. We have the reality check of this is exactly where I'm at. And then we have the subconscious and unconscious things that go on underneath that, the feelings, the sensations in the body. We have all of these subtle energetic exchanges, whether it be emotions, thoughts, words that we use when we exchange with people, behaviors, our micro expressions in our faces. All of this happens underneath the things that we think, our consciousness and our conscious mind. Sorry, I forgot to mention, hi, welcome to the Body and Brew series, the next episode. Do you know what I noticed that's really funny is I always tend to, it's only when we're in the Body and Brew and I'm filming, because I must talk with my right hand. I usually hold my cups with my right hand, but I've noticed with Body and Brew, I hold it in my left, even though the handle, and I'm so used to drinking with my right. I do this all the time in the Body and Brew series, and it looks so funny. I'm actually think it's really hilarious. But welcome to the Body and Brew series, where we sit, we connect, we take a moment to align, and I'm kind of evolving this series into more of a body-led series. And so we're going to just be doing little micro practices to start integrating the information that's actually discussed in these little mini series. And so, yeah, not everything we think is true, but at the same time, we need the thinking and the logic and the structure in order to mark where we are at in our reality, in this current time reality, because at the end of the day, we still have to play the game in the matrix. We still have to live in the matrix. I was talking about this with a friend recently over the weekend. We still have to come back down to reality and ground back down to reality. But this can be sometimes why for people who are open to things other than logic and science and literal, structured things, it can feel a little bit warped or like there's something missing when we're only thinking that something's true and it's never going to change and it's fact and it's logical and it's scientific, there's scientific proof. If we stick only to that and we're not feeling into things, we're not sensing into energetics and emotions, then we're always going to feel like a part of the picture is missing, because there is. And so I find a useful practice, a somatic energetic practice that I'm going to take you through in a moment. I find a useful practice. It's where we can be discerning our thoughts. And when I say our thoughts, I mean our logical, conscious thoughts, the ones that we actually think and the words we speak out loud. Separating that in a practice, or at least being able to discern the difference between that and our body-based sensations, whether it be emotions, energetics, physical sensations in the body. And so this is where somatics and energetics really does come in, because it allows us to give our logical, conscious mind, the one that has agency, that has choice, that likes structure and concepts, and to make meaning out of everything. We can give that aspect of our body, the mental body, that conscious part of ourselves, a backseat, and start to introduce some somatic practices. And so one beginner practice that I find really useful, beginner somatic embodiment practice, is discerning thought from sensation. And so we're going to go through that today, just a quick little one while we sip on our tea, while we sip on our matcha. And so let's just start with a quick moment to drop into the body, start to notice your breath, close the eyes down or invite the eyes to close down. Notice your breath, just notice the rhythm, notice the inhale and the exhale, the rise and fall of the chest. And then just do a quick body scan from head to toe, bringing awareness to the head, to the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the back, the stomach, our arms, and our hands. And then bring the hands to the womb space if you are a woman, or the lower abdomen if you're a man. Scanning through the womb space or the lower abdomen. Awareness down to hips now and pelvis. Scanning down the legs. And then finishing with the feet. This is what we call a top-down practice. We're down-regulating from an up-regulated state. A lot of us happen to be when we're watching something and we're not fully dropped in yet. But as we're dropping in, as we've done that scan, what area of the body spoke to you the most? You can keep your eyes closed as I'm talking you through this. You can close your eyes again if you've opened them. Drop back into your breath. Come back to that part of your body that you notice the most. Don't overthink it. Just let it come naturally, the answer. Let your body lead the way to where it wants to focus. Come back to that sensation that stood out the most out of that body scan. And then what I want you to do with that sensation is notice if there are any thoughts swirling around that sensation. Notice if there are any thoughts swirling around that sensation, any words, any things we're thinking. And then start to notice what's underneath those swirling words. What are the sensations? Just feel them. You don't even need to name them, just witness them. And if you find yourself naming them, notice that that is a thought. That word that you're naming, that sensation, the meaning you're making out of that sensation, that is the thought. That is the word. But what does it feel like to simply just feel the sensation? Coming back to the feeling. Perhaps there's a visualization, a color, a texture, a temperature to that sensation, an intensity or a numbness. But just feeling the sensation without needing to have to label what's going on. And if thoughts and words do come in and labels come in, allow them to flow through like a stream. Just notice them. Notice that they swirl around the sensation, but they're not the sensation, that there is a discernment, a difference, a distinguished difference between the two. And so this is how we can, as you slowly come out of this little micro practice, this is how we can start to discern for ourselves what a feeling is and a sensation, whether it's body, emotions, soul, subtle energy, body stuff, versus our thoughts and our consciousness and what we're trying to make meaning of. And again, this is super practical to be able to know how to discern that. I think it's such a good beginner's practice if you're someone new to somatics and energetics and you're wanting to explore it, because there really isn't a whole picture when we're just living in the masculine mind, that being the logic, the structure, making meaning of everything and conceptualizing everything. That's only half of the picture, at least with what I teach, what I've come to know, and with what I witness with my clients. And so if you really enjoyed this episode of the Body and Brew series, let me know in the comments below. Let me know how you went with that little micro practice. And I have heaps of other free practices on my YouTube channel, so feel free to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.